You are listening to the Aging Starts Now podcast, where it's all about responding with confidence to the legal, financial, and personal challenges created by a disability, unexpected illness, or aging in general. Join us weekly as elder law attorneys Barbara McGinnis and Chris Johnson, along with other members of the Johnson McGinnis Elder Care Law and Estate Planning team, talk about the tools, techniques, strategies, and services that will make the elder care journey easier for everyone involved. Get ready, because aging starts now.
Is decluttering one of your New Year's resolutions? If it isn't, it should be. And today we are going to tell you why and how to get started in this episode of Aging Starts Now. I'm Dana Henschel, and I'm the Outreach Coordinator at Johnson McGinnis Elder Care Law and Estate Planning. And joining me for today's conversation is Decluttering and Organizing Specialist Heather Shingleton, owner of Clutter Company. Welcome, Heather.
Thanks so much for having me. You know me, I always love an opportunity to talk about decluttering.
Well, why should someone make decluttering a priority in 2025?
So, such a good question. There are so many reasons to start your decluttering journey. I love for people to figure out that first, because we can go back to that reason. It's motivating to remember why you want to do this. But as far as decluttering goes, there's so many benefits. I truly believe that it reduces stress. When we have to manage so much stuff in our homes or in our workplace, so much inventory, that can definitely increase stress levels. So I think that is one of the reasons. And also, I think it's good to know too, is that over the past 100 years, the average American home has quadrupled in size. And of course, we have filled every drawer, every cabinet. We bring storage solutions in, and we fill every little space with more stuff. So it really kind of begs the question of were we meant to manage all of this? And then I also think another great reason to declutter is it's a money saver. I like to say that decluttering is the new shopping. When we reduce inventory in our home, we see the benefits. Our homes are more calm. We have more peace. So that helps us kind of curb that spending a little bit, because we don't want to get back to those old ways. Also, there's so much duplicate buying we do when we have a lot of stuff. We don't know where things are. We don't remember what we have. So we end up spending more.
Well, I have a question, because a lot of our listeners are perhaps seniors, or they're the children of seniors. And maybe you're the child of a collector, let's say.
Yes. Yes.
Or the child of someone who may be past their ability to sort. Or maybe it never really was a strength, or, maybe they're kind of like, yeah, I know I need to do that, but I'll do it later. How do you approach someone about the importance of doing that? How do you give them the tools? How do you step in? And if you don't know how to step in, maybe that's where you come in and your specialty comes in. So if you could kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, that is a very challenging situation to be in when you have a loved one who's very attached to their belongings. We talk to people all the time about that. So you're not alone in that. My suggestions would be definitely to start early having those conversations. This isn't going to be done over a quick weekend. And when you have those conversations, start with a lot of empathy. It is definitely a delicate conversation. And so by doing that, you're setting the stage for success. So with that, instead of having a conversation to tell them like what they should do, you want to make sure you're respecting their belongings, respecting that autonomy. So ask open-ended questions about, what plans do they have for their things, or how are you feeling about the stuff in your home? By keeping things a little more open-ended, you are just giving them making them feel valuable, and making sure that they know that you respect their home and their space and their belongings within it.
I think also just maybe even approaching it as I've always loved this quilt. What can I have this quilt? What are your plans for this quilt if and when you are no longer using it? Or is there anything in this house that is really important that when you are no longer here, I should definitely keep or not throw away or know the importance of? Because my family member, she intended on sorting when she retired. Well, that never happened. And she was a collector. And I love what I learned from you one day. You said, if everything is important, then nothing is important.
Yes.
And everything was important to her. Right. And so she recently moved to an assisted living. We did an estate sale. I took months going through her house, picking out what I thought was valuable and important family heirlooms. And then months after the estate sale, she asked, well, did you get your great mother's silver candlestick holders? And I'm like, no, where were they? Right. And she said, oh, they were behind all of the Christmas bags and decor in the upstairs corner. I'm like, well, I had no idea they were there or even where to find them.
Right. So, this is a great time to tell those stories. And people love to tell stories, especially about those sentimental items. And I love that my mom and I had the opportunity to declutter their home, and and she's told me why things are important. And then, so if she ever had a medical crisis or something like that and had to downsize quickly, I know what she values there. So, and it's that I'm so grateful that she's given me that opportunity.
So yes, I think that it is a gift to your kids. And
absolutely,
if you are a child and your parents don't bring it up in conversation, it is a gift to yourself to bring it up in conversation. And do it in a way, your parents better than anyone else. Do it in a way where there might be receptive, but you're going to be glad that you had the conversation before a crisis happened.
Absolutely. It's just like with what Johnson McGinnis does and this situation. And then I'm also a nurse too. And I always tell my patients that how important a living will is. And not only just having a living will and a healthcare power of attorney, but then also talking to your loved ones about what you want. But all of this kind of goes hand in hand. And it truly is just preparing is such a gift to yourself and to your loved ones.
Right. And perhaps, Heather, if somebody like you were to even come into the house, maybe the person isn't ready to sell or donate or give up items, but even if they're open to sorting and labeling and putting things in bins, that could be a great help.
Absolutely. Just knowing where things are is just, that's a game changer.
And something I think that people don't really even think about until they're in the thick of it is pictures. Now, this may not be as big a deal when you or I get older because everything is digital and on the phone. But for our parents, they are picture people, printed picture people. And I have about 10 bags of photos that I have yet to go through. And I'm going through them. And thankfully, my loved one's still alive, so I can have follow-up questions about the pictures. But it's hilarious in that the pictures that I thought, oh, this must be an important boyfriend or a significant person. I ask and she's like, oh no, that's nobody. That's just a coworker. And the one that I was going to throw away, she's just like, oh, that's so-and-so. I'll keep that one,
Right.
So
Yeah.
the importance of labeling those pictures or sharing those stories, because if there's not a story, the picture means nothing.
Absolutely.
Do you have any kind of tips or tricks or any kind of suggestions for pictures?
Yes, absolutely. Since we're talking about decluttering, I'll focus on that just because if you're managing a little less, it's going to make the process of organizing them so much easier. So what I've done with our family photos is I went through and let go of any duplicates, even those duplicates that, how we take like 10, 20 family photos just to get that perfect photo. Well, keep the perfect photo. The other ones, you can let those go, put those in a pile to purge. The other ones would be those landscape photos, those trips to the Grand Canyon where you took 30 some pictures of the Grand Canyon, but nobody's actually in the picture. Landscape photos or like pictures of the ocean, those kinds of things. You can let those go too. Blurry photos, another one, just kind of let them go. People you don't know. I've had people they're trying to remember that person. I was like, if they're not important enough for you to remember right away, it's probably not that important to keep that photo of them. And then I think this is a big one too, is photos that just make you sad or possibly angry, that kind of thing. They bring back some really sore spots in your past. Let those go too. And I think if people do just those 5 things, the photo organization is going to be so much easier just because you will be managing so much less.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess it's personal preference as to whether you put them in an album. I guess you can digitize them.
You can. You can. There are actual photo manager companies that will do that for you now. But they are a little bit expensive. So that's why I like the idea of let's reduce first before we go down that route. But even places like Sam's Club, you can take like your old, what are those little cassettes that, used to be in the camcorders, and they will still actually digitize them for you.
Oh, perfect. Yes. I didn't even think about family videos and all of that.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. And it is so worth doing. I did that and I love it. Like, I hadn't had videos of my first son for forever. And I definitely recommend people doing that.
Are there any other kind of creative tricks as to keeping memorabilia or making something that is somewhat sentimental new again? Like, for example, I have all of these sorority shirts and I didn't want to wear them, but I for some reason I didn't want to throw them away either. So we made them into a quilt.
Yes, I've seen people do that with like their kids' T-shirts and things like that. Etsy is a great place to look for things like that. Like they'll take like an old sweater or jersey or something like that and make it into a pillow. I've seen them make things into a teddy bear. So check out Etsy for some great people who will just take a special item and switch it up a little bit. Also, there's I had a client who had an old leather chair and it just was beyond repair. So what we did is we made Bible covers with that, because that is the chair that his dad used to do his Bible studies in.
Oh,
so he did, he made one for himself and then for his children. So definitely think outside of the box with that. And then one thing I think I love to stress to people is like, if you have received multiple things from a loved one, you don't have to keep everything. Keep the things that, are going to have a spot of like a place of honor. And if you have to keep something in the garage with like a bunch of, fertilizer on top. That's not honoring that loved one's memory. So you don't have to keep everything, and you don't need to feel bad about that, but keep those things that maybe you can use in your home, and again, honor that person in that way.
Oh, I love that. I think that's really good advice, Heather. And I love the Bible covers.
I love it. I love it. Yes. And definitely check out Etsy. There's a lot of people out there that are kind of looking at these things and really can take those sentimental items and just refurbish them, make them special.
Nice. Well, is there anything else that you would like to add before we wrap it up today?
I think we covered so much, and I think a couple of these topics, like the photo topic, and just reasons why people hold on to things, that's a whole nother podcast on itself, isn't it?
It can be.
Yes, but I appreciate you inviting me and giving me some time today.
Well, perfect, Heather. And if people want to get in touch with you, should they just Google Clutter Company? I can put your contact information in the show notes as well.
Yes, absolutely. We are actually cluttercompany.com. And you can go in there and you'll find a link to all of our social media and our phone number. We do free consultations. We are definitely confidential. We know there's a lot of shame just with when people have so much stuff, and we want them to know that we are going to be judgment free, and what we see is held in confidence.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you, Heather, for joining us. Johnson McGinnis, Elder Care Law and Estate Planning, is a life care planning law firm helping families respond to the legal and financial challenges caused by chronic illness or disability of an elderly loved one. Join us next week for another episode of Aging Starts Now.
Thank you for listening to the Aging Starts Now podcast. For more information about today's show, visit tn-elderlaw.com, click on the Free Resources tab, and then click on Aging Starts Now. You'll find the show notes there. And while you're at it, why not check out all the free resources available at tn-elderlaw.com. Document downloads, the Johnson McGinnis blog, educational videos, informative articles, helpful links, a TV show, and more. It's all there, free for the taking. If you enjoy listening to the Aging Starts Now podcast, please subscribe, rate the show, or leave us a review. It's easy to do on whatever app you use to listen. We would love your feedback on the show. Aging Starts Now. We'll be back next week with more candid discussions about the challenges created by aging, disability, and unexpected illness.